Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. This has come out of nowhere, I would say. After this news has come, I was just looking online, and what I found is a lot of fans posting the pictures of this, the moments of Cancelo with us, the fantastic moments that Cancelo has given us as fans. I know the deal is not done, but when David Ornstein reports it, it's almost as good as done. So I can you can see in all of those pictures the famous UCL nights is given us. It's been very good in the UCL last summer, and Football Critics is here. Football Critics says he's an egoistic person. That's an interesting comment, Football Critics, because before going live on the show, I was just surveying other social media forums and stuff to see how our City fans, especially reacting to this Cancelo thing, and I've actually seen a lot of people tell this. You know what you're telling, that this is his attitude is the reason why Juventus has let him go. His attitude is the reason why Portugal has benched him. His attitude is the reason why now Pep is letting him go. That is interesting, and another interesting, yeah, like you said, like football critics says, we don't serve egoistic players at City. That is true. That is true. Football critics. That is, that is the mainstream argument that is actually coming out. That's the general consensus among our fan base, that this. I would not say an ego clash, but Pep is not lacking his attitude. That which Cancelo is displaying, especially when Cancelo is on the bench. In many of Pep's press conferences, Pep has always praised Nathan Ake, for example, that even though Ake was on the bench for most parts of last season, his attitude on the bench was excellent. He was he, he was telling that about a lot of other players as well. Foden, for example, how his attitude, for example, when he's on the bench and not playing, he has praised John Stones, for example, sometimes when he is on the bench and his attitude has been superb. So I think that there's been a long face that Joe Cancelo has been putting up when he's being sat on the bench. Football critics says we might go all out for Guardiola now. Maybe Gomez might step up. Uh, I'll just come back to that Guardiola thing in a bit, football critics. But Gomez is interesting. But do we need? But let us put the scenario this way: what if Nathan Ake gets injured? Because why did we lose last time to Real Madrid? Because all our bloody fullbacks were injured. Walker suffered an injury. Cancelo suffered an injury. Ake was injured. We literally did not have any fullbacks. Real Madrid second leg, till the time Kyle Walker was on the pitch, it was almost like Vinicius Junior was getting nothing out of him. As soon as Walker left, Vinicius Junior goes. Fernandinho steps in. Vinicius Junior goes and scores that goal. So, are we taking a risk out there in the Champions League? Because are we just a Natanake injury away from suffering in the fullback position? Or am I actually seeing it the wrong way? That is the thing. Because I can't get the head and tail of it. Because why will Pep repeat a mistake that has cost him last season in the Champions League? Could cost him in the Premier League as well this season. One Natanake injury, which is very much possible. He's played all the games for Netherlands. He's been consistent in the City side schedule and stuff like that. So I'm missing something here. Let us think about this from another point of view. What am I missing here? Are we now going towards a back three system with Rico Lewis, for example, inverting inside, or whoever plays on the right inverting inside? Are we going towards that sort of a system? And is that the reason why Pep is actually selling Joao Cancelo? Because if we are going towards a back three system where invariably Ake is going forward a little bit, but generally is playing as a back three when we are in possession, right? And or out of possession as well. So I actually think if that is the case, then we might be all right, because we have Ruben Diaz in there, we have Aymeric Laporte, we have Akanji, we have John Stones. There is no dearth of centre backs here. Calvin Phillips can potentially play there. Rodri can potentially play there. So you literally have six centre backs there. So if that is the plan, so I actually think this transfer might indicate that sort of a plan from Pep. The back three and Rico Lewis playing in the midfield double pivot. Football Crick says we should go all out for Pavard or Theo Hernandez, but Benjamin Pavard has not been that good this season, uh, and 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 I've actually read a few comments from Bayern Munich fans about this, and they were telling that they needed Cancelo because Benjamin Pavard plays well as a centre back more than as a full back. He has not been playing well at all. I've not been watching Bayern Munich as much this season, so I do not know about that comment. But that is, I've read that comment from two, three people in the social media forums actually about Benjamin Pavard. He has not actually been setting things on fire. Football Critics is breaking. Joao Cancelo's Bayern Munich loan deal will include an option to buy at 70 million euros. Yeah, that was in the Telegraph, and David Ornstein has also been reporting it, right? That buyback of 70 million. I mean, on a positive side, 70 million euros for Joao Cancelo is actually a good deal, I think. And as you pointed out, Football Greece, we could actually go all out for Josko Guardiola, because essentially Joao Cancelo's fee is covering Josko Guardiola. Even if it's 100 million euros for Josko Guardiola, you could say Joao Cancelo plus 30. So 30 for Josko Guardiola, is it worth it? Definitely worth it. So that might be the plan. And I mean, I would love Josko Guardiola to come actually. That would just be the coup of the summer. I don't see how we can get Josko Guardiola in the January transfer window. Do you guys think we are getting Josko Guardiola in the in this transfer window? That would just be fantastic. But it seems tough in the January transfer window to get Josko Guardiola. Football Critic says this Benfica left back, I think his name is Rafael Guerrero. Rafael Guerrero is Dortmund fullback. Football Critics Dortmund left back. We are being linked to him, and I think we've had a bit of discussion about him on this channel as well. The problem with Rafael Guerrero is he's almost similar to Benjamin Mendy. I mean, I'm speaking of the footballing stuff here, not the other stuff. He's almost similar to your Benjamin Mendy's and stuff like that. He's defensively not good at all. Rafael Guerrero, his attacking wise is very good, but defensively is shy and he's a bit injury prone as well. So now I do not want another fullback at City who is very good attacking wise, but defensively doesn't offer us much. We have lost so many Champions League matches. We have conceded so many points in the Premier League this season due to our left fullback, for example, not being good enough defensively. When Rico Lewis, for example, in the first half against Arsenal, I don't want to go heavy on him, but defensively. I don't think he can overlap and play those things. Rico Lewis is good, well tucking inside, well going in as a second pivot. So I actually think Pep's plan is to play a back three this season with Rico Lewis tucking inside alongside Rodri, and that will prevent the transitions. And so once Pep is comfortable with the transition, and you may ask, why is Pep doing this all of a sudden? There's a big reason why Pep is doing this all of a sudden. Newcastle. I refer back to that Newcastle game, and I refer back to what Pep said after that Newcastle game in the press conference. That is the reason that has brought about all these changes this season. After the Newcastle game, Pep said we can't allow the opponent to hit us on transition so many times. When we are playing this way with Erling Haaland, when you don't complete the action on an attacking front, the opposition immediately transitions in 2-3 passes and it's over. I think that has played on Pep's mind. It has played on Pep's mind on every match since that Newcastle game. And also Pep is right, because against Crystal Palace we conceded two, against Newcastle we conceded three. So we were scoring goals. Haaland was scoring goals up to that Newcastle game, but we were conceding a hell lot of goals as well. And that Newcastle game was where Pep thought enough is enough. This can't continue. We'll be absolutely ruined in the Champions League with your Bayern Munichs and your Real Madrids and your PSGs if we be so open. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that openness and transition? And then Pep thought Julian Alvar. I mean, I need a striker. I need a striker who goes into the midfield. Why am I getting beaten on transitions? Because my midfield is elite. My three attacking players are up front. De Bruyne and Gundogan are going up front. It's almost like Rodri is being singled out. You remember that Ivan Perisic missed chance at 2-all Spurs City last week? Why did Ivan Perisic create the chance? That was the only transition that happened in that match actually. It was because Rico Lewis was overlapping. So I actually think Pep does not want that to happen. That is why what Pep has decided is Haaland can't drop in. We have seen that is right. So the only thing is Rodri cannot be isolated. That means I need a double pivot. I can't play Gundogan in there because that would mean De Bruyne or someone who plays alongside Gundogan will be the only creative outlet, and it will be easy for the opponents to mark him. So what do I do? So Rico Lewis comes inside as a pivot. I think that's the story why Pep is playing Rico Lewis. Now you can say, why doesn't Pep play Cancelo in the same role? Cancelo is not a ball carrier. To play as an inverted pivot, you just look at what Rico Lewis has done in tight spaces, for example, against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, against Spurs. He goes into an absolute mess and comes out with the ball. See what Rico Lewis did against Arsenal, for example, in the tight spaces against Partey and all. Partey was pressing like there's no tomorrow, and Rico Lewis came out of it. Cancelo is not safe on the ball. Cancelo, if you see, he does tricks and stuff, but he's not a ball carrier. I mean, Southampton match is an example here again. Against Southampton, why did we lose? We lost against Southampton because Cancelo gave the ball away so many times, trying to invert. Cancelo tried to play the same role. I think that was that for Pep Guardiola, and he had to go. Football kits as well. Which all left backs are available in the market? That is actually. I mean, are we actually going for a left back or right back here? That is another question. That is another question. Because in the later part of the season, Cancelo has always played on the right for City, right? Pep has tried him. For example, Chelsea Stamford Bridge after the World Cup, Pep has tried him on the right. In Southampton against Southampton EFL Cup quarter final, Pep has tried him on the right. So Pep has been trying him on the right. So now the question is, are we going for a left back or are we going for a right back? What is the structure again? If it's a back three, we are going for a right back and we're not going for a left back actually. So I think Cancelo is not a strong ball carrier. So Rico Lewis inverts inside, and now with Rico Lewis inverting inside, it means that we are able to prevent transitions. I actually think this is a good template from Pep Guardiola because we all have been discussing how do you release Erling Haaland, how do you make him free. I think this is the template to make him free. Back three, and then Rico Lewis and Rodri, two sitting as two pivots when we are in possession. So even if you lose the ball, you suddenly have a solid base. The opponent in transition cannot hit you directly. He has to get past Rodri Lewis. He has to get past the back three. This is very interesting. Now this means that you can say the back five and then the front five. The back five will defend. The front five will attack. All out attack. Very interesting template from Pep Guardiola if you go deep into it. And Cancelo doesn't fit into this if it's the template. Coutinho says, I think Ake can handle the left back position. He's done decent enough, I feel. But Coutinho, if you would have watched the previous few matches, Ake is actually not playing in the left back position. Ake is actually playing as a back three. Ake is playing as a back three, and Rico Lewis is inverting inside. And like we have been discussing, this is being done so that the opposition now can't hit you on the break. Because if you would have seen Pep Guardiola's previous matches in the Champions League, for example, against Lyon, or even against Liverpool, for example, in the Premier League last season and the seasons before, he always used to play someone alongside Rodri, a Gundogan or a Bernardo Silva alongside Rodri to do that box-to-box role. Now, now he realizes with Erling Haaland, he cannot afford to do that. Why? Because Haaland doesn't drop into the midfield. The bodies in the midfield will not be enough to sustain the transitions. That's where Lewis is inverting inside. So essentially, this is a system where City are playing a back three. And I think the concept of left back is redundant now for City. Okay, the left-sided centre back can ride occasionally down the left flank. That is fine. But generally, I think the concept of a left back is eliminated, and the concept of the right back is also not there actually, to be fair. It's an inverted right back. Very interesting from Pep. Football Grid says, man, that Japanese wonderkid at Brighton, Mitoma, is so good. We should go for him. This Mitoma, I mean, Football Grid, that guy Mitoma, it seems, he's actually done a diploma in dribbling itself. First time I've heard of someone who has a degree in dribbling, but more than Mitoma, I actually like the Leeds United guy. There's a uh, Encanto or something is his name. I think it's Encanto or something. He came from Juventus to Leeds United. He played against us as well. I think when Gary Neville was telling, he sees that guy Encanto at City. I think he is the one who I'm looking for more than Mitoma actually. But I think we are going for Rafael Leao. Oh, that's what everyone's telling. We are going for Rafael Leao in this in the next transfer window. Counting says Ake fits well in the left hand side of the back three. That's why I said is good enough. Instead, reinforce some other position. But there's a problem there, Countinia, with Ake down on the left hand side. Ake is not good enough attacking wise. You don't get much out of him when you have to break lines from deep in an attacking sense, and that could sometimes stifle you. When for example, the Arsenal match was interesting for me because Mikel Arteta went man to man, and the spare man was the goalkeeper, but also the spare man in that match for quite a bit of time was Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake was given space and time to deliver the balls into the box. Only both of them were free in that match. It's a goalkeeper or sometimes Nathan Ake, and Ake's delivery actually desires. Lot to be said. So that's the kind of weakness you get with Ake. I mean, every player has his weakness and strengths, but on the strength side is superb defensively. And for me, Nathan Ake is the best centre back 1v1 after Van Dijk. And now, okay, Van Dijk has declined. So Nathan Ake is in the top three centre backs in the world 1v1 situations. How he has controlled Saka was superb against Arsenal. No one did it this season against Saka so well. So you get your positives and negatives with Nathan Ake as well. But the overall idea should be, I mean, we should think about it like this. What does Pep Guardiola want of a player who's playing on his left hand side? I think it's like Coutinho mentioned. Actually, I think it's more aligned, more biased towards a defensive perspective. Pep Guardiola wants his left centre back, left sided defensive player to be of a defensive mindset because the template is to release De Bruyne, to release Gundogan, the template is to release Erling Haaland, the template is to have a 5-5, 5-0-5 almost, 5 at the back but in the transition and 5 going all out attack. I think that is what we will see in the Premier League as well season. Football glitches, man, but defensive Davis at left back and Cancelo at right back. That would be fantastic. Football glitch. Alfonso Davis at left back. But Cancelo, I'm still not sure because he can't do that in inverting role. Cancelo is not a ball carrier. Southampton was the nail in the coffin for Cancelo. We lost that match against Southampton in the EFL Cup due to Joao Cancelo giving away the ball. I mean, in the 10th second of the match, he's given away the ball. Match started. Pep was absolutely livid with him. Cancelo is not a ball carrier, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Pep plays Bernardo Silva at right back, for example, and he tells Bernardo Silva to invert inside. That's the same thing which Bernardo Silva does, right? And Bernardo Silva is very good defensively. I think it's Pep's supreme quality in knowing that there are players who can play this template for him. There is Bernardo Silva, for example, who can cut inside, playing in the right back position. So it's interesting. Counting says, don't give me hope with Mitoma. But it says Anthony Robinson, we are after what I said, but deal with Leeds again. We can fool them once, but not twice. Anthony Robinson of Fulham is actually interesting, and Anthony Robinson has pace. I think we were linked to him in the summer as well, and I think we had discussed him on the show as well, and we thought he could be the best. I mean, I remember in the summer transfer window we were discussing Sosa, we were discussing David Raum, we were discussing Anthony Robinson for 20-25 million pounds. Actually, Anthony Robinson would have been a shrewd signing. But then the general thought was we had Kyle Walker, we had Joao Cancelo, we had potentially Sergio Gomez coming in, we had Nathan Ake who's been good. So you had your four fullbacks back then. No one thought that the form of Cancelo would fall away so fast. It really fell off a cliff, That Liverpool game, I mean, Cancelo has been actually costing us points this season. And there was an interesting quote actually on one of the social media forums I was reading on this. Cancelo never had a full season of 8 by 10, for example, like a Bernardo Silva 2018-19 season. Most of his performances were 8 by 10. De Bruyne likewise. Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte when he arrived had a 8 out of 10 season the entire season. But Cancelo was mostly he was hot for a bit of a season, then he blew cold, then he was hot. So that consistency was actually lacking with Cancelo. I know it got covered up because we won a lot of league titles. It got covered up because we were doing pretty well, winning domestic cups and stuff. So might actually not be a bad moment to move on Cancelo. I know I'm shocked by this news, especially in the January transfer window. But thinking about it deeply, discussing it with you guys, I actually think the template that Pep is on, Cancelo is not needed. The template that Pep wants to play, Cancelo is not necessary at all. There was another piece of news, and I don't know if this is related to that, but yesterday there were a lot of reports from reliable Spanish outlets that were linking Arnau Martinez with us. He's a right back at Girona, and he does exactly what Rico Lewis does, but he's also good at overlapping as well. He cuts inside, is technically very good, and one of the strengths of his game is crossing actually. Arnau Martinez, he's a right back. Arnau Martinez is a right back, and he's from Girona, 24 million euro. I mean, Girona is our club, so I'll not speak about the transfer fees here. City on a majority stake there, and the minority stakeholder is Pep Guardiola's brother. So the entire club is ours. So he's an interesting prospect. Barcelona are really after him. So yesterday evening, a lot of outlets were reporting this. And I wonder if there's any connection, and we might go for him a quick deal actually, because Girona is within the City Football Group as well. I think so. It's easier to complete the deals then. I don't know if that has any connection with the Cancelo transfer news. Football Kid says, do we have anyone in the academy for left back or right back? The timing is super, Football Freaks. The timing is excellent actually, that we have let Josh Wilson Esbrand go on loan as soon as the January transfer window opened, right? At least if he would have been there would have been a body to cover there in that left back position. And Josh Wilson Esbrand could actually have released Jack Grealish. I mean, okay, I know Pep does not want to play that back four thing. He wants to play back three with the full back inverting. I get that. I think so. I actually think if we look at the sequence of events that have happened, Josh Wilson Esbrand being sent on loan very early in January. Generally, for these things, especially defensive things, when we don't have cover at left back, Pep City think a lot before sending a young player who's making his way to the first team on loan. So Wilson Esperan sent on loan very early on. Kyle Walker out of favor. Joao Cancelo, I was shocked that he was not even given a look in for the FA Cup game against Arsenal. All of us would have thought that would be the game to bring him in form, get him in confidence. So he connected Wilson Esperan, Walker out of contention mostly. Cancelo fully made him sit on the bench. What do all of those things indicate? For me, it's a I know I'm repeating this over and over again, but for me, all of these things indicate that Pep Guardiola has now settled down on a template, is now settled down on a formation. These indicate for me that finally the struggles to release Erling Haaland are coming to an end. I know we need to see these on the pitch, but all of these are an indication that Pep has finally stuck upon a system. Pep has finally stuck upon a formula, if you would say, that would bring the best out of Haaland without letting him come inside too many times into the midfield. Pep has stuck upon a formula that will release Kevin De Bruyne, that will release Gundogan, that will release Jack Grealish, that will release Riyad Mahrez. So I think these are the indications, and it will be interesting to see how we will play against Spurs. Football Kids Arnaud Martinez is heading to Atletico Madrid. There are actually rumors of Barcelona being intensely interested in him, with Atletico Madrid as well. And yesterday, everyone was reporting that, of course, not the tier one journalists, but everyone was reporting that City were interested in him. He has a release clause of 20 million euros. So Arnaud Martinez would be interesting, but as you mentioned, football tricks, I actually want Josko Guardiola now. And I actually think if you ask me, why can't we do a Josko Guardiola transfer now? Because Chelsea have spent bloody 320 million euros in this January transfer window. So that rebukes the myth that big deals cannot be done in the January transfer window. So I'm thinking, why can't we go and get a Josko Guardiola? I mean, just get a Josko Guardiola now, and it really reignites the title. It pushes us that much more confidently towards the title above Arsenal. If we get Josko Guardiola, his and Josko Guardiola, by the way, is an upgrade on Nathan Ake in the sense that attacking wise is very good. Is absolutely a beast. He offers everything Ake does 1v1, and is taller than Ake as well. Height doesn't matter for centre back, that is fine. But he attacking wise, his left foot, his ability to ping diagonal passes, and I think Josko Guardiola has played in that left wing back role, sort of role for RB Leipzig as well. So that will be very interesting if we can manage to do that deal. But I actually don't think we can do that deal right now. That seems impossible. If you if you ask me what will be my dream summer transfer window now that Cancelo is almost gone, my dream transfer window in the summer would be Rafael Leao, Jude Bellingham, and Josko Guardiola. I think we get these three, and we would have moved up another level. It would just be fantastic. But it's a shock move to Bayern Munich. I mean, it's come out of nowhere. Did not expect it at all. I was just thinking a quiet transfer window. We have got Maxim Perone. And I mean, I wonder if Pep would play Maxim Perone at right back and tell him to invert inside. That is also a possibility. Pep being Pep could do that. Even Maxim Perone is like a Bernardo Silva, you could say. And they say that Maxim Perone is the next Frankie De Jong. So that's actually very interesting about what Pep could do. But for me at least, by these signals. What we can sum up is that Pep has come upon a template. Pep has come upon that formula how to get the best out of Haaland, and now Pep is releasing players with January transfer window so that their attitude will not affect the entire team. So Pep is. I'm sure that Pep has actually pinned down a formula there. Football Crits says Pedro Porro deal is off. I think he's coming to City. But Football Crits, there's another player we should not forget. He's Jan Kuto. Vinay says no replacement FC. No replacement FC. Wow. Vinay could put it as we don't need a replacement FC. When Mendy was injured, Pep turned Fabian Delph into a world class left back. When Fabian Delph was injured, Pep turned Zinchenko into a world class left back. I mean, just imagine if you're Zinchenko, just imagine his career. If Zinchenko would never have come into City, he would still be struggling for midfield spots. He would never have had the chance to play in the top six teams in the Premier League. He would be struggling for a midfield spot in, you would say, a bottom team in the Premier League, for example. So Pep Guardiola has literally transformed careers of midfielders into left backs, and one thing we have plenty of is midfielders who can cut inside. Bernardo Silva, Maxim Perone. I would not be shocked if Pep plays bloody Ikai Gundogan on right back and tells him to cut inside. I know this sounds fantasy, but who would have thought Pep told Fabian Delph to do that thing? And I says then 2000 from 2017 we are looking for left back. And it's been 6 years, right? And it's been 5 years, right? This is the sixth year running, and in those 5 years, what has happened, Vinay? What has happened in those 5 years? We have won four Premier League titles in the last 5 years without a left back, and people tell City are stocked in all of the positions. People tell Pep Guardiola is a checkbook manager, and all of those things. And yet we have not signed a left back and still won those things. But interestingly, there was I think it was an article by David Ornstein, I think, where he was mentioning about City's plans for the summer transfer window, which included Rafael Leao, which included Kuchako Astelia from Napoli. They actually, and it also mentioned something about Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. David Ornstein wrote that, I think it was an article yesterday or the day before. David Ornstein wrote that City were not overly concerned by selling Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal and also Zinchenko to Arsenal. That was fine. City thought that it's fine. But where City were just left a little bit in the dark, the unexpected thing for City was that they didn't get Cucurella. Now that is interesting because City were so keen on Cucurella that I mean I'm again tempted to think about the template of the player Cucurella is. Cucurella is someone who would be perfect for Pep Guardiola, can play on that left-sided centre back thing, and he offers something more than Ake in an attacking sense. On the left-sided, he can Cucurella can ping an excellent delivery into the box and stuff like that. Defensively, I know Chelsea has suffered, but is generally okay defensively 1v1 situations. So I think Pep Guardiola even before the season started, had a template in mind on how to get the best out of Erling Haaland. And he had a template on how to prevent transitions. But us not getting Cucurella meant that Pep Guardiola could not execute that plan well. And also, Joao Cancelo is not a ball carrier, so couldn't execute the plan with Joao Cancelo. Sergio Gomez has been poor. He cannot execute the ball plan with Sergio Gomez. He can't even tell Nathan Ake to cut inside, for example. So I think Cucurella is something which we have actually missed. Cucurella is the signing which I think Pep would have actually loved. Vinay says people talking about Sosa. He still needs refining. Vinay, yes, Jonna Sosa is not ready. Vinay, I've actually watched him in the World Cup as well. He plays for Croatia, right? Jonna Sosa he makes good runs, but his delivery is not up to the mark. I mean, instead of buying Yorna Sosa, we might as well bring back Josh Wilson as brand and refine him. He at least knows the structure of how we play and all of those things. I'm surprised why Pep has loaned Josh Wilson as brand. The only reason could be that he's not that good defending 1v1s and Pep is sort of leaning towards a centre back playing on the left hand side more than a traditional fullback. But another name which interestingly we were not linked to more often was David Raum. For Germany, David Raum was just excellent. Those marauding runs, his ability to 1v1 situations, his pace is excellent in defending 1v1s. He's very good and composed at cutting inside. He's a good ball carrier. The way he goes into the box is excellent. I think with David Raum, you literally had the entire package. I actually think, I mean, with David Ornstein stressing a lot on City were left in the dark with Cucurella and taken aback a bit that they didn't get him. I actually think the entire focus on Cucurella deal, we were so sure we would get Cucurella that we forgot to follow up on our other targets and they signed long-term deals. So actually think not signing Cucurella was. It didn't seem like that with Cucurella's bad performances, and all of us had a good laugh about it. But we are missing signing that left-hand sided player who would cut inside because it is you know what is Pep Guardiola's template. If you see the early games against West Ham, for example, against even Crystal Palace, for example, uh, both the fullbacks were cutting inside. You had a back two with both the fullbacks cutting inside. So literally Pep was playing the two centre backs, 2-3-3-2 of a formation like that, 2-3-3-2 something like that. Yeah. So Pep was doing that. Now without a left back, I think Pep is struggling to do that, and that means that Ake has to stay back. Only Luis can cut inside, but that is fine. But what is happening with just Lewis cutting inside is opponents are able to stifle us. It's almost like we have been put inside a box. Now if both the fullbacks cut inside, what happens is, see, Jack Grealish and Foden, for example, or Mahrez can maintain the width, and the ball rotation is that much more easier. Just imagine Arsenal were going man to man for us, and if both our fullbacks were able to cut inside, then we would have outnumbered Arsenal 5-4 in the midfield. We were getting outnumbered 4-3 in the midfield before Pep bought on Alvarez. So I actually think not having a good left-sided player fullback who can cut inside has thrown some of Pep's attacking structures that he has put forward for Erling Haaland into the bin. Because both the fullbacks cut inside, you're prevented against transitions. You're now having an extra member in the midfield. This means that Haaland no longer has to come into the midfield. Whatever happens, no opponent can outnumber us. And you have both your both your wingers high and wide. You have De Bruyne and Gundogan playing between the half spaces. This is the template that Pep actually had. This is the template we played against West Ham and stuff. And after that, Cancelo's form went down the hill, and that meant De Bruyne was having to go into the wide areas. That meant Grealish had to come into the midfield. Mahrez has to come into the midfield. It's just gone. It's just gone downhill from there. The lack of one left back signing. Vinay says 70 million bid rejected for Cancelo, Brighton and Hove Albion. What a club firm on their stance. Vinay says heard some new rumors of Chilwell. How much he'll cost? No need of Chilwell. No need of Chilwell. Vinay, he's another. He's a B Tech Benjamin Mendy. Benjamin Chilwell. Well, they share the same name as well. It is the first name, so he is just a B Tech Mendy. He is absolutely stupid defensively, and he's just good attacking wise. He's injury prone, and what more does he have in common with Mendy? Again, I'm talking just the footballing things. We don't know what else he has in common with Mendy, but again, the footballing things. Both are similar profile players, injury prone, and enough of the hospital bills we have paid for Benjamin Mendy till now. Let us allocate some of that budget to buying a left back. I imagine how much would Benjamin Mendes hospital bills have cost, and how many great left backs would you have got from there? I mean, we would have got Alfonso Davis and Benjamin Pavard, both of them with half of Benjamin Mendes hospital bills. He's been in the hospital for at least 4 years, 3 years. Vinay says, yeah, 70 million bid. Actually, I'm happy that the bid for Casino was rejected, because it seems that Thomas Partey has an injury problem, and we know that Thomas Partey is injury prone. It's a surprise he's played the first half of the season so well without any injuries. So it's a surprise, and and now Arsenal saw without Thomas Partey, Sambi Lokonga is obviously not that level. Thomas Partey, the pressing, the his sense, his positional sense and stuff. So Arsenal will be worried. I think they will want to do that Casino deal. Casino deal might be them getting to the title, and might be them dropping out of the top four as well. Arsenal fans are thinking title, but there's a big chance that Arsenal might be fighting for top four come the end of the season, guys. You just never know. Football is such a funny game. Vinay says, do we need fullbacks actually in this new system? Just by deep lying playmakers, and therein comes Maxim Perron. I think exactly, Vinay, deep lying playmakers. Calvin Phillips, Maxim Perron, Bernardo Silva can do that. Probably not Gundogan with right now, but you literally Sergio Gomez can do that. You have Cole Palmer, for example. If you want, you can use Cole Palmer over there as well. Rico Lewis is already doing that. Wow. Actually, that's an interesting question, Vinay. Do we actually need fullbacks in this new system? You just need deep lying playmakers. Does this system even have traditional positions which you generally associate within football? CDM, CM? I don't think so. Pep is creating something new here. I'm excited for it, but also there's that sense of there's that sense of fear, a little bit of fear in me as well as a City fan. What if this backfires? What will happen? How far will we fall in the title race? But we know Pep is Pep, 2016 Pep experimented, and that season was bad, but you see the result. 4 out of 4 Premier League titles out of 5 seasons. So I think as fans we must be prepared this season that even if something does not go well, I think we need to accept the fact that we are in transition. We are in transition to adapt to a new system. We are in transition to adapt to a new philosophy of Pep Guardiola. We are in transition to adapt to a new footballing structure that probably none of the coaches around the world have seen. Now everybody, if you see, Mikel Arteta is playing that system which we used to play false nine, striker dropping deep. A lot of teams actually are playing. Graham Potter plays that. De Zerbi is a little bit different. You see a lot of players, Ten Hag plays that. A lot of coaches, Xavi does that. A lot of coaches focusing their play on that, and This is the greatness of Guardiola. When you think that his system has been figured out, when you think that everybody else can come and break into that league of Pep Guardiola, he changes tools. He changes the fighting arena. He changes everything else. He comes up with a new template, and by the time coaches adapt 3 4 years, he figures something out. And people were blaming selling Gabriel Jesus. People were blaming selling Zinchenko. And I actually think that Pep thought Haaland is necessary for me to get into this new system. Haaland is necessary for me to, play out my new style of football, and that is the reason why we went to Erling Haaland. So this might seem like mad, because it seems like mad because when the entire world is walking on a path and you take a new path, and it always seems that you're crazy. It always seems that you are not you you are setting yourself up for failure. But that is what Pep Guardiola has always done. In a way, that is what Jose Mourinho has always done. That is what all Arrigo Sacchi has always done. That is what all your best coaches have done. When the world is going one way, they want to introduce new things. So I think we must actually be a little bit patient with this team. I think with Pep. I'm not telling write the season away or something like that. No, but there will be a lot more frustration. I hope it's not, but there might be a lot more frustration in this season with us struggling to adapt to this new structure, with us struggling to find Erling Haaland, with Kevin De Bruyne cutting down a long phase and things like that. Actually, I think we must be prepared for that. Football Cricks are Spurs doing Spurs thing with Pedro Porro. And Football Cricks, the crazy thing is they have someone called as Yet Spence. I think he was from Sheffield United or Notting. I think he was from Nottingham Forest actually. Yet Spence. They bought him for around 30 40 million euros, and it seems Levy wanted him, but Conte doesn't want him. And the poor guy has been just sitting on the bench from the start of the season, from the last 5 6 months. Yet Spence is actually a good fullback. So I think Spurs is just gone. And also talking about Spurs, I think when we didn't get Harry Kane, was it last season or season before? When we didn't get Harry Kane, I actually think Pep decided that he's gonna chuck it all up and they'll start a new system, because with Harry Kane, Pep would have perfected that false nine system. Gabriel Jesus was good, but Gabriel Jesus was not an out and out goal scorer. He's not a lethal finisher. With Harry Kane, you got a lethal finisher. With Harry Kane, you got one of the best passers in the world. He could very well play as an attacking midfielder. He could very well play as solely as a central deep midfielder in any team. So you got everything. And Pep thought, if I got Harry Kane, I would create a perfect team, a godlike team, which Pep created with Barcelona with Messi in it. I think Pep sort of thought that he would create that, but with Daniel Levy not selling not selling Harry Kane to us, then Pep thought, just rip it up now. There's no use again going for another false nine and doing the same thing again. Players also need refreshment. Opponents are figuring out my style. They're man marking my CDM with their striker, and they're not allowing me to recycle the ball. Let me create a new thing. I'll bring a beast in Erling Haaland and do it. I think so. That's what might have happened actually. So these all of these ramifications have started with us not getting Harry Kane, because you can imagine City going up to 150 million for Harry Kane. That meant Pep wanted to create the perfect team. Perfection does not exist, but Pep almost wanted to get close to it. So so I actually think that is the reasoning behind Pep getting us getting Haaland and creating this new template. Vinay says Conte rotting Spence, man, getting Poro. I will not understand it. If I'm Poro, I would not go there, because Conte would just be out of the club by the next by this summer. If you don't win trophies, I think Conte is not there. The only reason he's being there is Juventus are shite right now, and there's no job available in Italian football that would guarantee him trophies. There's no job available in world football that would guarantee Antonio Conte trophies. So that is the reason why Conte is sticking with Spurs. There's no opportunities for him. Otherwise, he would have just gone away. Football Kid says, man, Malo Gusto to Chelsea. That guy could be a better answer. Too late now. Yes, the deal is over. Malo Gusto deal is over. But again, can Malo Gusto cut inside and play? I've not seen the player. You have to tell me, Football Kids. Can Malo Gusto cut inside and play? How is he on the ball technically? So I've not seen much of Malo Gusto actually. Football kit says we switched to 3-5-2 system. Exactly, 3-5-2 system, and that five is essentially one of the fullbacks cutting inside, and then you have your three center backs, and then you have Rodri in the middle, you have Rico Lewis in the middle cutting inside, and then you have your Kevin De Bruyne, you have your Bernardo Silva, and then probably Jack Grealish with Haaland and Alvarez, or Haaland and Mahrez. So I mean, whatever, it could be a 3-4-3. I mean, whatever you might call it. But the template is the fullback inverting inside and all of the center backs with a back three. Yes, it's a 3-2-5. It's a 3-2-5. Yeah. It's a 3-2-5 exactly. Two pivots, Rodri and Rico Lewis, and then the front five, De Bruyne, Grealish, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, for example, Haaland, Mahrez. Vinay says Pep has changed Haaland. He's doing pressing, hold up play, bullying defenders. But again, Vinay, I actually don't like Haaland to be involved so much in the build up play. Let him be in the width of that box line like he was being at the start of the season. Let him be there. Let him poach. Let him be the predator. Let De Bruyne, let Bernardo Silva, let Rico Lewis, all of them carry the ball to him. And I think this system, this template is being set up for Haaland to do that, to thrive on it. I think that is the reason. Haaland pressing would just be. I mean, if you literally wanted just a pressing striker, you could have well gone for Cody Gakpo. You could have easily gone for example, Harry Kane. Given that extra 50 million and gone for Harry Kane. And you could have gone with those kind of strikers actually, but the fact that we have gone with Erling Haaland means that we now have gone far away from that template of false nine cutting inside and stuff. Football Kick says we are after Chilwell since Cancelo is gone. Makes sense now. Are there reports or rumors coming of us linked to Chilwell? I would not want Chilwell at all. I would not want Chilwell at all here at City. He's injury prone and he's not good defensively. He's not good defensively at all. I would not want Chilwell. Vinay says, I thought Chilwell is defensively a bit better than Cancelo. Think Pep thought Cancelo is Trent basically. Maybe we got rid of him early. I actually think when it has to do with the attitude as well. I think like a lot of people have been pointing out as well. But I mean, leaving all those attitude things apart, I think it's pure footballing thing actually. Now with the back three, does Cancelo fit in on the as a third centre back? No, he's not good enough to fit in as a third centre back. We have tried him at the right against Chelsea, I think, right? Pep tried him high and wide on the wing, was not good enough. Pep tried him against Southampton at the right back position. I mean, to invert inside. The problem with Cancelo is playing at right back and inverting inside. He's not a ball carrier. He loses the ball. He, I think the only place which Cancelo could have played in the system is attacking midfield, almost in that playmaking role. I know this might seem funny, but that's the only role that was open to him, and that role and the spaces were just not there in that role. So, or probably on the wing you could play him in that Mahrez sort of a position. So I think Pep looked at all this and thought he's not fitting in my philosophy. It's not. I mean, if you look at all of the players that Pep let go, they they generally don't fit his philosophy unless they want him out, like Leroy Sané. That's another thing, but generally they won't fit the philosophy. So Cancelo, I think, is not fitting the philosophy of Pep Guardiola. Nice says about Theo Hernandez is not good now. Attacks well, but track back he used to disappear. Yes, his liability in his defensive work. Theo Hernandez. I think David Raum is interesting for me. I still want David Raum to us to go for David Raum. Josko Guardiola and David Raum for me are the two people. But again, we have to go for a right back as well. Even Kyle Walker, he's very good 1v1, but inverting inside, how well do you rate Kyle Walker? Can he carry the ball in tight spaces? I don't think so. So we need a right back. We need both the full backs. Wow, this is going to be a proper rebuild. Pep Guardiola, whatever system he plays, it relies heavily on the fullbacks, be it cut inside or be it overlap, whatever it is. So I think this summer transfer window, we need to get a left back, and we also need to get a right back. I think for right back, Rico Lewis is there, but I also think Jan Kuto will be interesting for the right back position. Because Jan Kuto, the way he cuts inside, his technicality on the ball. There was a stat last season, that Jan Kuto, when he used to play for Braga, who played in the Europa League, Jan Kuto has after Trent, Jan Kuto had the highest number of successful crosses into the box. And you look at Jan Kuto's crosses into the box, if you can, on YouTube and stuff, you'll see the bend he gets, the dip he gets on the ball. And Jan Kuto is very good 1v1s. He loves to cut inside. He loves to play. He loves to assist, he loves to assist the runners by cutting inside the midfield. Rico Lewis doesn't do that yet, but Jan Kuto, there are many assists of him where he cuts inside from fullback position and just he releases the striker. I think Jan Kuto would be a dream. Jan Kuto would be a dream. And it's interesting that Jan Kuto wanted to be sold, but Pep was insistent that Jan Kuto go on loan for one more season. So we might be bringing Jan Kuto back next season. I want Jan Kuto to be given a fair chance. Football Grid says yes, reports are coming. Now that we have let Cancelo go, reports will come. But I would not be surprised if we bought Jan Kuto back from loan actually at such a short notice. That would also be a possibility. So just watch out. I think on the final day we might come up with a new signing, especially in that left back position. Just for backup or something like that. I think this is tomorrow the final day of the transfer window. If it is, I think tomorrow is the final day of the transfer window, and it will be. I think Casino deal will be interesting tomorrow. Enzo Fernandez probably will be completed, but City might actually be active on the deadline day tomorrow and do something, pull something out of the hat. Football Critic says we should look at Lucas Hernandez, left back or centre back, but does Lucas Hernandez have that? I mean, does he provide you something different from Ake? I mean, more than Lucas Hernandez, I would actually go with Josko Guardiola because Josko Guardiola, young, I think he's 20, 21 years of age. He has pace, which we are desperately crying out for in our back line. His diagonal balls are excellent. 1v1s is as good as Nathan Ake, if not better. I think Josko Guardiola would be the better option. He's raw, a bit raw as well, and raw in terms of adjusting to the Pep system, and Pep can uh, mold him easily to his system than a Lucas Hernandez. And Josko Guardiola will be okay to sit on the bench also for some time. So City Ultra says, I love Cancelo. Why is this happening? It's simple, City Ultra. Cancelo doesn't fit into the Pep Guardiola profile anymore. Cancelo loves to, I mean, Pep Guardiola wants his fullbacks to cut inside, and Cancelo is not able to do that. He's not a good ball carrier. He's a good attacking midfielder. I mean, if you tell De Bruyne to cut inside, for example, I think same thing would happen. De Bruyne is not a good ball carrier, but is one of the best in sort of attacking midfielders, pinging those passes in and stuff. The same with Cancelo. Vinay says, should we go in with a cheeky bid for Liao in January? In January, Milan is in the mud. I mean that would change the complexion of everything. When I so wish we did that. I so wish this team is crying out for Rafael Leao right now. We get Rafael Leao, not Milan in the mud. When it will be Arsenal in the mud. Arsenal fans will be catching their face like this. What have we done? Casido not there. They get Rafael Leao. That would just be fantastic. Even without playing the game on the 15th, we would have already scored a point or two above Arsenal mentally if we managed to get Rafael Leao. AC Milan, we could do that, but generally 100 million. I know Chelsea have shown it could be done, but City like to do it in a much more proper way, and I think we'll only do it in the summer. But it's interesting because we could go in for Rafael Leao now, and then we could leave the entire summer just to go for Jude Bellingham, for example. We could just focus on Jude Bellingham and a left back. Football Critic says, yes, if Cancelo is leaving, we need to ask Bayern, give us Sane on loan now. That would be interesting, Football Critics. Cancelo on loan, Sane on loan, and Sane is, I mean, not just Rafael Leao, Sane would also just turn the tables. We are bloody crying out for a winger. We are bloody crying out for a winger who can cut inside, who has raw pace, and and Sane would just be perfect because he knows Pep Guardiola's system and all of those things. He tracks back, he does his work defensively. City fans love him. The dressing room knows him. People in the dressing room love him. So just want Sane back. That would just be a dream. City Ultras says Sane's relationship with Pep wasn't good. I don't think City will bring Sane. I mean, relation. I mean, at that time, Sane was a bit immature as well. You know, German players when Bayern Munich come calling, you generally get your head turned, and just like Brazilian players get their head turned when a Barcelona or Real Madrid come calling. See the case of Rafinha, for example. So actually now Sane is a bit more mature. He's developed into the winger, which Pep thought he would, and it would be a perfect match with Sane. Has that experience now. He takes his decisions well. He has a mature head on his shoulders. So I think Sane would be perfect. Vinay says Pep's fantasy. Play midfielders in all positions. That's why he wanted to go for Harry Kane. That would have fulfilled his fantasy. Harry Kane coming in. But Maxim Perron for me is still interesting, and the interesting part is Pep has literally called Maxim Perron three times. I think he hasn't been called Erling Haaland thrice, so he's called Maxim Perron three times. Pep has instructed City to get him straight into the first team as soon as he returns from his Copa America, Americano, whatever. So Maxim, they dub Maxim Perron as the next Frankie De Jong actually. That is interesting. And also just touching upon this model of how City is scouting and buying players. See, now we are entering an era where your Chelsea is spending so much money, United will spend so much money, Arsenal is spending so much money, more than ever in the last 2 decades. Newcastle will spend a load of money there. Brighton is actually having a bit of money. Nottingham Forest has spent a bit of money more than City. So at least if we talk about the top five teams, top six teams, all are spending money, and you can again see the futuristic approach from City here. City have now gone away from that model of spending a lot of money, and we are signing Julian Alvarez 14 million. His value currently is 60 million. If we had tried to sign Julian Alvarez now, you wouldn't get him for less than 60 million. Julian Alvarez 14 million, Maxim Perron 8 million. You could potentially have an Enzo Fernandez there if you would have signed him. We had the chance to sign him for 20 million. Now he's worth 100 million. So I actually think City are now this entire thing of our academy system, this entire thing of setting up the City football group where all of the scouts are getting more detailed insights into the players in the league more than any other team, because we own a part ownership in all of the teams in the City football group. But I think City, not just Pep, but City as a whole, the culture, the hierarchy is going towards a sustainable model when all the clubs are spending a lot of money. So this is another thing which I thought was very interesting, with how forward thinking City are, not just the coach but the entire management model as well. So literally we have got 120 million worth players in Parone and Julian Alvarez for 20 million. So that is actually interesting. City Ultra says in 2022 October, Pep said Foden can play left back. City Ultra, that might be a point that good point that you have made. That's why Foden is sitting out with the leg injury. I think Pep would have told Foden play left back in the training. Foden would have told yes, Shafor, I will play, and then Foden would have slowly limped out of training, thinking he has gone crazy. Now he's asking me to play left back again. What is this? I'm not gonna do it. I'll sit out until City sign a new left back. That's why Foden is out with this mysterious injury. Now I can understand. Football Critic says, imagine just a few Liverpool, we should go for Robertson. Robertson would be the perfect fullback slash centre back. Excellent in 1v1s. His delivery is out of this world. Wow. I actually think it might not be a bad idea, Football Rigs, if we go for Andy Robertson, because Liverpool need the money. Liverpool owners bloody are looking for money right now to invest into that midfield. I think we get Robertson for somewhere around 20-25 million euros, I think. And Robertson, with that experience of playing in the Champions League final, winning it, Robertson would just be perfect in all aspects. Still has that pace. People say that Robertson has dropped off a bit, but Robertson still has a lot of things right about him. Vinay says he used to think Enzo is City player because there's no language barrier with Pep. And actually, it's interesting that River Plate, they persuaded us. Actually, they were. They were actually asking us quite. They were asking us. They were requesting us. That's the word. They were requesting us last season that why don't you take both Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez in a deal together? We can conclude the deal for around 30 million, both of them together. And City, we did all of the hard work and we decoupled the deal, and and we got only Julian Alvarez. But I think it was last season it was last season we were heavily linked to Matheus Nunes and we were heavily linked to Enzo Fernandez, right? And I always thought Enzo Fernandez was a City player. Exactly, you just thought he was a City player, but he went to Benfica. I mean, if we were not careful, Julian Alvarez would have also gone to Benfica and come back to Chelsea or somewhere for 100 million. Benfica are a good reselling club. And also talking about left backs, there's one left back which to whom we were linked heavily in 2020. He went to PSG, he plays at left back for PSG. I'm just not able to remember his name. He was from Sporting Lisbon actually. I just can't remember his name. Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes is the name. Nuno Mendes is a left back. Which news is coming? We might go back to Nuno Mendes actually. But Nuno Mendes again a bit of an injury problem. When I says Robertson, exactly. Football teachers, I really like the backup left back. I forgot his name. Liverpool's backup left back is Calvin Ramsey. I think it's Calvin Ramsey. I haven't seen much of him again. Haven't seen much of Calvin Ramsey. But again, it's just to sum up the show. I think it's actually I wouldn't say shocking. I mean, I would say it was shocking when I first read. I just saw my phone ping and I just took up the phone and notification came that David Ornstein and David Ornstein says that Cancelo to Bayern was way closer and it might just happen in this January transfer. And I was like, what? What the hell? I checked the date actually. It's not even April 1st. So what is it happening? But now discussing it in depth with all of you, I think we can all agree that Pep is coming up with a new template of attacking, new template of way of play. Pep's football is now moving away from false nine to including a striker and things like that. So Pep is bringing in a new brand of football. The only thing I think I would ask from all of us, all of our fan base, is just be a little bit patient. Anything can happen this season, It's let us not be adamant that Pep should win the title or Pep should win the Champions League, otherwise is out or something like that. Just trying something new. So I don't say we write off any competition, but I would say just be patient with any of the mistakes and any of the drop points that happen. Simicas, okay, it's Simicas, okay, it's Simicas, yeah. His Turkish, yeah, Simicas. I think Ramsey is a right back. I think that they have got this season as cover for Trent. But Simicas, but the delivery of Simicas is on and off. The delivery of Simicas is very inconsistent. It's on and off, and his 1v1 dealing as well is not as composed as Robertson. So, but attacking wise, I think. Uh, his crosses are sometimes superb and sometimes they're hit and miss. And defensively, I think he is not an upgrade over Nathanake Simikas. 1v1 situations, I would anyway take Nathanake over Costa Simikas. So I think Robertson would surely be an upgrade playing on that left hand side. I mean, how would we have liked to have these players like in United, for example, Luke Shaw, left hand side, almost a similar profile to Robertson, right? Probably Robertson is a little bit better than him. Luke Shaw there, Robertson at Liverpool, Cucurella at Chelsea. It just seems that apart from us, Ben Davis, for example, at Spurs, I actually think it seems apart from us, all of the top five, top six clubs, everyone has a good left-sided centre back who's actually good enough playing in that attacking and going forward as well. I think that's the reason we wanted Cucurella, but hard luck, we didn't get him. Vinay says, honestly, I'm gutted with Cancelo leaving. I mean, on one side you could say, you could remove all of that emotion apart, and you could say that Pep Guardiola has a new template, this and that, and all of that. But if you just see on the screen, the pictures have got together. All of those are some of the best moments that Cancelo has given us over the last 4 5 years. It's actually been with us. Those fantastic UCL nights, those fantastic finishes cutting inside in the Champions League, those fantastic finishes in the Premier League, for example, those fantastic displays against Liverpool, those fantastic displays in pocketing Mo Salah. It's actually emotional if you recollect all of those things, you know. But you and one thing is, you can't take emotion away from football. So I actually think it's sad leaving him go, just like it was sad seeing Leroy Sané go, just like it was sad, seeing Zinchenko go, for example. Not as much Raheem Sterling, I'll be honest, but there are certain players when they leave, you just feel that something within, whatever might be the reason they're leaving. So actually think all of those moments, all of that link up at his absolute best, Cancelo would just give those outside of the foot crosses, and that would just, we all were imagining, we all were envisaging Cancelo giving those outside of the foot crosses, and Erling Haaland getting onto those, just like Raheem Sterling got onto those quite a few times. So we were all thinking about that, but a lot of memories that Cancelo has given us, whatever people might say, his attitude and all of those things. That is true. Everything is true. Like I said, the template, and like I've read the attitude problem and everything. I mean, everything apart, keeping everything apart. I think just the emotional side of it, I actually feel a bit bad that Cancelo is actually leaving. Vinay says back three, rather sign centre back. Stones is injured every 3 days. 3 days is a lot more time you're given, Vinay. Stones is injured every 2 days, I think. Laporte lost his pace. Need pacey and aerially good centre backs. I think it's Josko Guardiol. I think Josko Guardiol could be the answer to it. Josko Guardiola, left-footed, has pace, is an improvement on Laporte. He's fast centre back, very good in the air. Josko Guardiola is the answer, I think. Vinay says, Fernbash are also in a bit for Walker. Fenerbahce. I think Pep will not let Walker leave, because Walker is a contingency plan there for the right back position, and also if something goes wrong for the centre back position. So I don't think Pep will actually let Walker leave. Bulgarians is Bayern Munich buying superstars from City and Liverpool. That they've always done, right? That they've always done, snatching superstars from Borussia Dortmund and other teams, and now they're snatching people from the Premier League. But what they don't realize is now it is just going beyond them. And honestly, do you think Bayern will pay 70 million euros at the end for Joao Cancelo? I highly doubt, actually. I think they're just using him now to. Do they have an injury crisis there or a form crisis there? I don't know, but I think they're just temporarily fitting in Joao Cancelo, and if it does well, probably they will make him permanent. I don't know, but I don't know how to express this. On one side, you have all those moments associated with Joao Cancelo, and you feel emotionally it's a bit difficult seeing that he's leaving, but on the other side, you know that turning on a new leaf is always difficult. You know that getting out from the comfort zone is always difficult. We still have a lot of fans in the fan base generally uh, who think that why don't we just play with the false nine, and why don't we go on and win titles. But that is not how it works. That is how teams go raw. I'm sorry, teams go stale. That is how empires collapse. Refreshment and turning on new pages, getting out of your comfort zone is needed. Sir Alex Ferguson did that. Pep Guardiola did that with his Barcelona team, and Mourinho never used to do that. That is why he used to leave teams often. So I think this season will be uncomfortable for us, and as a fan base, we should actually realize that we should actually accept that. Acceptance is something which leave the fan base. Even I, as a City fan, find it actually very difficult to accept the fact. Sometimes, after dropping points against Everton, for example, I'm telling myself, why? After dropping points against Liverpool this season, I'm telling myself, why have we gone with this Erling Haaland striker and all of these things? Why couldn't we just bring in Julian Alvarez and play the false nine stuff? Doesn't work like that. That doesn't work like that. Have to refresh it more often than not. So let us back Pep, however uncomfortable it might be this season. When I says get back Dino from Brazil as a mentor, a leader, intelligence, knows when to use dark arts. We don't see that from Rodri or Phillips. With Rodri, we actually see it a bit. With Phillips, it's absolute nonsense. If Fernandino was sitting on the bench, he would literally go into the field and he would drag Calvin Phillips out of the field of play. Calvin Phillips has been absolutely shocking. I wouldn't have been surprised if the news came Calvin Phillips sent back to loan to Leeds United. That's how shocking Calvin Phillips is. But given it's just half of the season, given it's a role that is the most challenging role to play in a Pep Guardiola system, let us give Calvin Phillips more time actually. But yeah, Bayern are in an injury crisis, like Football Critics is saying. That's why they're collecting players. Just like when Barcelona are in a financial crisis, they take players who are free agents. These teams I don't know what they're up to, all of these teams apart from the Premier League teams. And on the other side, I just wonder what would be the reaction of Barcelona and Bayern Munich seeing, especially Barcelona, seeing Chelsea spend so much money. Chelsea have spent 300 million euros and a million pounds, 320 million pounds in just this transfer window. Just guess the cost of Leeds United Football Club, or just guess the cost of Southampton Football Club. You get it for 400 million pounds. Todd Bowley has spent as much in the January transfer window as is the cost of an entire of most of the football clubs in the English leagues, apart from the top six. So you can imagine the kind of spending that. And I think if you see after 1.5 season or 2 seasons under Todd Bowley, Barcelona would very well have thought, well, he could have bought Barcelona itself. He could have bought our club itself. Why did he choose to spend a billion on players? I would not be surprised if Todd Bowley spends a billion on players in the next two transfer windows combined. Vinay says, won this front line. Grealish, Hall and Mahrez, Alvarez as a floating from CM to AM. But the trouble there, Vinay, is where would you play Kevin De Bruyne or a Bernardo Silva, for example, if you play Alvarez there? I actually think it doesn't quite. I mean, think the three centre backs, and then you think Rodri and Luis as the pivot. So five are over, and you think Haaland as the striker, right? Six, Mahrez on one side and Grealish on one side. So eight players are done with the goalie, nine. So now you have two more spots remaining: Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, Julian Alvarez, Kevin De Bruyne in one spot, and then for the other spot, Bernardo Silva, Julian Alvarez, Ilkay Gundogan, maybe a Maxima Peron. So you can see literally that four players are actually fighting for that one spot. So actually, I think that is the difficulty there. Bernardo Silva or Julian Alvarez. Bernardo Silva at his best, I think you play Bernardo Silva ahead of Julian Alvarez actually. Football Critic says Cancelo fits Barca more. We would be more happy if we send our B team players to our B team, that's Barcelona. That's true, but they have a similar kind of a player like Joao Cancelo, right? Sergio Roberto, and he does the same thing. He cuts inside, and I also think Sergio Roberto is better in terms of holding onto the ball, that possession style of play, cutting inside, and all of those things. I think so. So I actually think that. I mean, if you remember Pep Guardiola in 2016, I think, or 2016, yeah, he wanted Sergio Roberto at all costs, and then we didn't get him. And then Cancelo, he signed a new contract with Barca. Cancelo came, and so I actually think that Sergio Roberto was a player Pep admired 5 years back, not now. I think not now. But again, I'm struggling to think who are the right backs out there who can cut inside, who can play a role which Rico Lewis plays, and who are also equally adept at overlapping, because that would mix it up. Now with Rico Lewis, we are seeing that okay, he's overlapping well, but his crossing is a bit is not that good. So I know he'll improve. But who are those players? For me, Arnav Martinez is one, and Jan Kuto is one. I can only remember two play. I can only get two players to my mind who play the style that Pep Guardiola wants. or else you have to bring in a Tariq Lamptey from Brighton. Tariq Lamptey from Brighton would actually be a perfect Pep Guardiola right back. Actually, he's just superb. Tariq Lamptey. He has pace. His 1v1s is very good. But Brighton would now say, buy our club, give us 200 million pounds for Tariq Lamptey. That would just be insane. Vinay says KDB doesn't fit this new system. He gets disappeared, making Haaland disappeared. But then I think Vinay, it's the positions that Pep is making him play that KDB is getting disappeared. Just imagine Pep tells KDB just like Haaland to stay in the within the width of that penalty box. Just tell KDB, for example, to stay in that midfield. Don't go wandering out wide. See, one of the things where KDB was, West Ham, you saw that through ball to Erling Haaland for that goal from KDB, for example. You saw those through balls in the early part of the season. Why have they disappeared from KDB? That's because I don't know where this thought came to Pep Guardiola that he wants KDB to go out wide and he wants KDB to ping a cross in from there, which meant the teams can just man mark him so easily. So I think Pep so tell KDB, just stay central, just stay central. Don't wander into your wide positions. Just stay central. Now, if KDB stays central, it's almost impossible to man mark him. KDB drops the shoulder well. KDB has the turn of pace. KDB can ping those through balls in. KDB can ping it to both the wings. I think to make this system and KDB work, Pep needs to tell KDB to stay central, stay central. And now with this system, I think KDB can stay central more than ever because even if KDB's through balls go wrong, you literally have two pivots sitting there and you also have three defenders sitting back. So you have five as protection back there. So KDB can be more extravagant. KDB can take more risks. So I actually think this system can bring the best out of KDB and Erling Haaland actually. Vishnu says this is only the beginning. Exactly, Vishnu. This is the beginning of a new cycle, beginning of new era under Pep. New era where just like in 2016, after that, how we went on winning titles, Premier League titles after titles. Now I think in this new era, the focus is not only the Premier League, but the focus is also to do well in the Champions League. The focus is also to, I know the focus is always there in the past, but now more than ever that we have won so many Premier League titles, focus is to regularly get into the semi-finals of the Champions League. After that, it depends on a lot of factors, but there should be no excuse for not getting into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Regularly win cups, regularly get in contention for winning a treble or even a quadruple season after season. And I think Pep has realized the only way to do that is with a extremely solid defense. Football Critic says, man, we should get their their left back. He's so good, raw pace as well. Who is he, Football Tricks? Can you name? Can you name the player? Barca left back, right? I actually don't remember his name. Vishnu says Cancelo, Silva, Laporte, Walker. The list is long. I mean, two of the names which David Ornstein mentioned in an article a few days ago was Cancelo and Silva. Both of them actually wanted to leave the club. I mean they wanted to find new destinations, but he wrote something good about Silva. Actually, he wrote that City always gives the players two options. They say that if you can get us a good offer, then we will let you leave. If you don't get us a good offer, then you can come back again and discuss with us. So with Bernardo Silva, David Ornstein tells what happened was City didn't obviously get a good offer. It was just Barca rumors. What Barca do? Jingling coins in their pocket when they don't have any real cash with them. So then what happened was Bernardo Silva sat down with City management and with Pep, and both Bernardo Silva and Pep hugged each other. And Bernardo Silva promised Pep Guardiola that he would do everything that is possible this season. He would give his all this season for the club. Vinay says, have you seen Leipzig? They're unbeaten in last 16 games. Can be a headache. Vinay, another thing with this system, other thing why Pep is employing this system is Leipzig. Leipzig is surely on the top of his mind. Leipzig counter German teams, counter-attacking teams. Pep will obviously know with his experience in the Bundesliga as a Bayern Munich head coach. German teams, counter-attacking teams. They're so quick on the transitions. They're quicker than Liverpool in their prime on the transitions. They're some of the quickest you'll see in transitions. So how do you survive those transitions? And I think this system is the answer to survive those transitions. The game against Leipzig, on paper you would say, Leipzig, City should easily be able to blow them away, but that's not the case. Leipzig, German teams, they lay traps for you, and then they hit you on the break. I actually think that Leipzig is going to be Leipzig is going to be difficult, guys. Difficult in terms of managing the transitions. So this new system is again so important. That's why now you look at the scenarios, and I won't be surprised if Arsenal bloody look to hit us on the transition as well. Actually, so this system is just becoming important more than ever. How did we lose to Brentford this season? Transition. They hit us on the break. How did we lose to Everton this season? Well, Damari Gray hit a goal of the century, but again on the break on transition. How did we draw against Newcastle on the break on the transition? So you literally Liverpool, okay, Cancelo's mistake, but Liverpool threatened on the transition. So if you literally count all of the points that we lost on transitions, and you just add them up to our Premier League table, even though Arsenal have had the best start in the club's history, we would comfortably be 4 points ahead of Arsenal. You just add up all those points, right? United, we that was a far offside goal. You add 3 points there. Brentford on the transition, you had at least a point there because the match was being drawn. Everton on the transition, we should have easily won that. Everton are side in the last 7 matches, they got only 1 point, and that is at the Etihad. So you can imagine how angry Pep Guardiola is at transitions. So 3-4 Everton, 3 more 7, and Liverpool, that Cancelo's mistake, you add another point, 8. Just at 8 points to our Premier League total. Now we would be going to 53 points. We'd be going to 53 points, and Arsenal would bloody be 50 points with the game in hand. So it would be level, almost level, and bloody Arsenal are having the best league campaign in the club's history, and we are having the worst league campaign in our club's history. That's what the pundits are saying. That's what the media wants to say. But you go there, that even if the offside goal against United was not there, simple, we would have been just 2 points away from Arsenal. So just don't believe what the press is saying. Just don't believe if the press says that, if the pundits say that City have to go on and win the title every time. No, we are going through a transition. We need to accept that. And who knows? This transition might be the beginning of us gulping down a few Champions League titles like we did to the Premier League. This might be the thing. So only thing I would say is just be patient. Just be patient, guys. Football Critic says Bernardo Silva is heading to PSG. Might be. Reports are that he was looking for a new adventure for a long time, but I think he always had his heart set on Barcelona. So PSG, not so sure about it. And I says feed Haaland. What majority for UCL games? That's my name. Yeah, see, yeah. Feed Haaland. That's the thing. And I think this system, like we have been discussing, feeds Haaland. Feeds Haaland. Is designed to feed Haaland more efficiently than ever. Actually, Pep is not a fool to just sit there and say that it's not working out with Haaland. I don't know how to play with the striker. This is the genius in Pep Guardiola. This is Pep Guardiola who has shaped the careers of most of the top coaches, who has inspired most of the top coaches who are plying their trade right now. And why do you think Pep Guardiola will not change it up when all of his disciples are adapting his philosophy? Doesn't Is Pep Guardiola a fool? No, knowing that everybody else is playing false nine, even I will play a false nine. No, Pep wants to change. Pep wants to change before anyone else does. Football Critic says, imagine just to hype up everyone, we are making this news and nothing happens for Cancelo. Deal is still 24 hours or 48 hours. But Football Critics, either way, it doesn't help anyone, right? Because it's not like Cancelo is in absolutely good form. Because you just imagine Pep plays Cancelo in the inverted right back role against against Leipzig, for example, he loses the ball. Just imagine if a Southampton can do that to us in the counter on the transition. Just imagine what a Leipzig would do to us. So it's actually not good if the news is false, because Cancelo is just, he'll be sitting on the bench and he might affect the dressing room attitude and things like that. So you never know. So I actually think now, with all of the insights we have got, with all of the new Pep Guardiola's template and all we have discussed, I actually think that it's good for Cancelo to leave, and it's so that club can take an other step forward. Now everyone will be intrigued. That is the thing. How is Pep Guardiola gonna play that Cancelo is gone and stuff like that? So I think it might not be a bad transfer for us actually. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Little bit of a shake up in the transfer window. It seemed as if we were just browsing through the transfer window, just like you don't want to wake up at 7 a.m. on a winter morning, on a cloudy winter morning. It seemed that is us in this transfer window. Of course, it was unless City match is there. So it seemed that is us in the transfer window, and this news comes. So tomorrow will be an exciting day, the deadline day. Vishnu says if Haaland is injured, then the whole system will fail. Julian can help partially. I think Vishnu, if Haaland is actually injured, that's an interesting point. If Haaland is injured, I think Pep will just switch it up with Julian Alvarez, because Julian Alvarez played as an out and out striker for River Plate. So Julian Alvarez, the beauty of Julian Alvarez is, you remember the Wolves game? I think was it the Wolves game? Or the Fulham game. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was the Wolves game. I don't know. Not this time, but Wolves game before the World Cup. Pep started Julian Alvarez, and Julian Alvarez played as an out and out striker, and he gets on a through ball from Ikai Gundogan and he scores a goal. So the beauty of Julian Alvarez is, Julian Alvarez, I compare Julian Alvarez to the level of Harry Kane, because already his technicality, his passing, his lethalness in his finishing, everything is like Harry Kane. So I think just like how Harry Kane would not mind dropping in or playing as a striker up front, it's the same with Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez can play as a lone striker up front, and he can also drop into the midfield. He's technically very, very good. He's technically as good as Harry Kane in terms of pinging those balls in those diagonals in and stuff. Chelsea game is an example. I think Carabao Cup Chelsea game is an example where Julian Alvarez pings a diagonal to Riyad Mahrez, and then he gets on the end of it and finishes. Julian Alvarez is just he can do both jobs. So I don't think Haaland injury will actually affect it. And also, if that happens, I think it's a bit of concern for the system. But I think then Pep will have to probably switch it back to the old system. But I think I'm confident Julian Alvarez will actually play can play as a lone striker. So I don't think it will affect the system as much if Haaland is injured. But it's a good point you've made, Vishnu. Football Freaks is speaking of left back or right back. This guy from Southampton, Walker Peters, would be the answer, because everyone in Southampton is going. We can get for cheap. Walker Peters, I like him. I like Walker Peters because he's fast, he's pacey, his crossing is good. 1v1 is very good. He's excellent, but easy good in cutting inside Walker Peters. That is the one aspect of Walker Peters I don't know, because every time I've seen Walker Peters with Southampton is, of course, is marauding down the right flank and stuff like that. So that's the one aspect again that will be interesting to see. I still think Carrick Lamptey would be a perfect fit for that right back position, but I think Jan Kuto is the jump we have. We should not let a Romeo Lavia happen with Jan Kuto. I'm still thinking you keep Romeo Lavia and you save that 60 odd million you paid to Calvin Phillips, and you would have bought a left back or a right back or whoever you want with that, or a winger or whoever you want with that money, because Romeo Lavia is just looking unpressable, is just looking excellent. So I actually do not know what we'll do, but will be an interesting next couple of days for us, even after the transfer window is shut down. What Pep Guardiola will do and things like that. It's gonna get very exciting, guys. It's gonna get absolutely exciting this season. New template from Pep, how we are gonna go into the Champions League. It's gonna be much more defensive this season. That is the thing, and we'll try to score goals, but it's not going to be as open as in the past season. So that is one thing we need to be wary of. I think we are going to get nail biting finishes this season. Those 1-0s, we've got to sit through long nights, City protecting those 1-0 leads, for example. So I actually think this season's UCL and title races will be very, very interesting. Anyway, guys, see you all and thank you so much for joining me. It's been a wonderful discussion with you all, guys. And let us see how this transfer window fares. Take care, guys, and see you all.